Good morning, welcome to Planet Mojo. Today, I believe all the flowers are in full bloom, or at least a good amount of them. So we're gonna do a full garden tour. Actually, these zinnias are not in full bloom. They get a good deal bigger than this, more like this here. The rest of these are all gonna get quite a bit bigger, and then they'll start fading and a whole bunch more will come. Yeah, this looks just gorgeous. The miniature snapdragons along the edge did not do as well. I think it's just kind of not that good of a flower. There's a bunch of them right here, but not a bunch of flowers. Let's take a look down here real quick. I gotta throw that ball for Izzy again. Our morning routine. I planted these all on the channel about 3 years ago, I think. The toilet garden videos. These are my favorite, the Stargazer. But they're kind of dwarfed out by these big things. I'm not 100% sure what variety these are, but they're pretty awesome looking. I'm going to try to dig up these bulbs and transplant these. This area right here is going to get completely removed soon, so hopefully I can salvage the stuff like this. Okay, let's look at the back of the barn. This stuff back here, this is all volunteer stuff. These are weeds right here, the yellow ones. And that morning glory, that's a volunteer. The lilies here, these hide my fire hydrant. We got this fire hydrant years ago. That's from 1959 from, I believe it's from West Allis. We got that at a sale. We got to get that out of here. Like I said, this entire place is going to get bulldozed and there's going to be a road going up through here. So this is going to change real soon. And this barn is just going to get lifted up and moved across the street. But these hollyhocks are starting to fade, so not much lost back here. And again, I would like to get some of the bulbs from the lilies and stuff, but we have a bunch of lilies up in front as well, so I really don't know if I'll do that or not, at least with these lilies. This is one of the babies from our volunteer hollyhock. The original was planted in the ditch here, and that was, what was it, 18 years ago, 17 years ago? And every year we get a new hollyhock somewhere, and I let one of them live. If I let them all live, we would just have hollyhocks everywhere because these are pretty invasive, but these have been with us for quite some time now. These are the hollyhocks that we planted last year from seed. We had a bag of seeds that said crimson hollyhocks, and there was only one or two back here that were crimson colored. The rest were pink and yellow and a lighter red, but that worked out really well. These are pretty cool looking. Unfortunately, these right here are kind of in the road to the mailbox where the mailman comes, but he drives right through this and they just keep snapping right back. Yeah, these bees are just going nuts with all the flowers. And here's our main daylilies. Those are in full bloom, looking pretty good. The neighbor brought them from her house, the people that used to own the shed here, and she had them planted on the far side of it. That area is gone now. That's all gravel. I moved everything over to here. I made a video on that too. I'll put a link up above. The purple love grass is just starting to make its seed heads. This should make quite the show once these get a bit bigger. And here are the hollyhocks in front of the house. We have some hanging baskets back there with, I believe that's pansies in it. You can barely see them now. These hollyhocks are doing a lot better than the ones behind the barn. I was just here a second ago and there was about 1,000,000 bees here. And I mean, there's still a bunch of them, but not as many as just a little while ago. On the back side of this, these are the grasses that I haven't planted yet. That's foul manna grass and June grass. And this is purple milkweed. I've had a really hard time growing this stuff, and I have 3 of them here. I'm planting this stuff in the fall, and I'm planting the foul manna grass in the back there just as soon as I can. Until then, this is in partial shade, and I water it every other day or so, depending on how much rain we get. Cindy's Gerber daisy, we plant one of those every year. I'll head back here real quick and show you the corn. This is strawberry popcorn, and I just planted this one, and that one right there. That one's getting bit up pretty bad, but these are doing really well. Look at that thing. These will only get 4 or 5 feet tall and have really tiny ears of corn. I just planted that as kind of an accent because this is a wildflower garden. Got tons of butterflies over there. Let's go take a look. We got some wild rye growing here. That was not planted there. That came from seeds from over there. I should get rid of that stuff, but might be kind of hard. The June grass is dormant and the seeds are about ready to pick. I got 3 or 4 here and a little bit more over there. And then I have the stuff that's yet to be planted. I think I'm going to harvest these seeds real soon. I haven't been through to weed in a good long while, but it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of weeds in here. I think that's a California poppy right there, bachelor buttons. This is that miniature snapdragon. I guess it's doing a little bit better here. A little cosmos there. None of the sunflowers are flowering yet, but that should be about a week away, I guess. I'm gonna have to look that up, see what that one is right there. There are just zillions of bees and other pollinators in here. You can see on that poppy, what is there? There's 2 or 3 tiny little bees. I believe there's over 1,000 native bees in the area, and a whole lot of them are probably represented here today. There's just bees and butterflies everywhere. This mix is supposed to be all annuals, and this looks like Indian blanket or gaillardia. Maybe it's an annual version, or maybe the other stuff just grows every year from seed. Some of the stuff in the back, like right there, is already fading, but there's always something to take its place. Usually I'll get in there and I'll hack that stuff out, but I do it all in one day, and today is not that day. Oh, that's pretty cool. Oh, that's a zinnia. This mix does not have as many zinnias in it as the mix from last year, and it has this true Queen Anne's lace. There's a bunch of other stuff around here that is actually wild carrot, and it has a little black dot in the center of the flower. That stuff is invasive and it's pretty nasty. If I see that growing in here, I just pluck it out. I'm going to say full bloom is probably a week away. Once the sunflowers start blooming and all of this cosmos, hopefully this other little stuff will still be blooming at the same time. And the stuff in the back, the perennial stuff, if that's not 100% faded yet, which I don't believe it will be, this should be super awesome in about a week. You can see that one right there. That's completely faded, but a few more started up right next to it. So I think we're going to have one heck of a show next week. You can see the little blue stem right there, over here, and over there. I'll show you that a lot more close up on the trip back. This is the stuff I was saying that looks like ragweed. Definitely not ragweed, and you can really tell when it gets taller like this. But when they're little, it's real easy to yank this stuff out thinking it's ragweed. I'll show you this again once the flowers open up. We have a volunteer tomato plant growing right in the purple lovegrass here. That's kind of cool. We're at the little bridge right here. This is purple lovegrass right here, and we got a lot more cosmos action over here. And I do believe this is another one of them flowers, but I don't know, could be ragweed too. The purple prairie clover is past its prime. Here it is right here. I'm going to try to collect all these seed heads and disperse that all throughout the property. That's really cool stuff. Oh, bummer. The storm the other day took down one of the sunflowers there. I'm going to have to yank that out and throw it on the compost pile. Yeah, there's a lot less blooms on this side. I'm going to have to do this again in about a week because a lot of this stuff, it has buds, but it just hasn't gone yet. Just about ready. Again, real Queen Anne's lace. And back there, that's big blue stem right there. And again, I'll show you that a little closer up on the way back. Yeah, I would say definitely not at full bloom yet, but that's kind of subjective. I guess it depends on the flowers you like. But this stuff will be blooming until fall, so it's never all going to be blooming at the same time. Try to get a few of these big old grasses out of here while I'm here. Look at the size of that thing. Be gone with you. Pigweed. This area right here, the side oats grandma, when we had all that company, the dogs were in here and kind of flattened it down. I'm surprised it hasn't come back up yet. This has not been flattened down, and it generally keeps its upright form like that really well. Purple lovegrass starting to purple up, and again, here's some of the corn that I planted in that latest video on corn planting. And here we get into the wilder area of the gardens. This is pretty much all prairie grass along the upper edge, and I'm slowly planting that towards the road as I find different varieties. But every year I add the annual wildflower mix to the front area. So this is flowers and prairie grasses. And this year I planted this. This is Twilight Zone little blue stem. Got actually the biggest one is back there, kind of covered by this. Next year, these will be able to compete better with this older grass. But this variety is a really steely blue color like this. It looks really awesome once this plant starts getting mature after a couple years or so. So this garden has basically the same stuff as that garden, but you can see there's a noticeable difference in the size. This has much poorer soil over here because it's real thin. We have a rock outcropping that goes right through here. So the soil gets real shallow in this area, especially down that way. This right here, that black dot in the center, that means that this is not Queen Anne's lace. That was wild carrot. This is barnyard grass. Get rid of that before it dumps a bunch of seed in there. Again, I don't weed this all that much, But if I see something that's really egregious, I'll go yank it out. Eventually, this is going to be all native grasses and a few wildflowers. The Shenandoah switchgrass is right back there, but it's getting really hard to see with all this big stuff in front of it. That's one right there, and that's one right there. These get really red in the fall, so it'll be interesting to come back and see what those look like in the fall. I believe the plant right behind it is a big blue stem. You can see that the stems kind of look like bamboo, like a bluish bamboo. Really cool plant, but on the invasive side, it'll grow from seed really well, so it's going to reseed itself. Back in there we have hot rod switchgrass, and it's in amongst all this weedy grass. Let's see if we can find it. And it has side oats grandma that has fallen on top of it because the dogs got in here. Where is it? You can see one right here. It's a very colorful grass. There's another one. It looks like I'm going to have to come back here and trim this stuff out of the way so that this switchgrass can get a little more light. Look at how beautiful that is. This gets really red in the fall, and it's going to add a whole lot of interest to the area. But it does need some light to get established. Got a big patch of zinnias right here, and this right here is fleabane, like a miniature daisy. We'll get down to the end here and then loop and come back on the other side. Gets real sparse here. A couple flowers here and there. The perennials, like this black-eyed Susan right here, that will probably get a lot bigger next year. I don't know. You could see that the rock is right at the surface here, so that soil might only be an inch or two deep right there. That's why nothing else is growing all that well. But it could do like this one and just get a little bigger next year. I believe that's silky rye in the back there, but it could be Canada rye. Little lone zinnia down here. A lot of this stuff is native wildflowers. This is wild carrot. It's got the black center. This right here, not really doing super well, but I believe it's going to make a full comeback. This is sand drop seed, and this was all planted this year. This is the most drought resistant of all the prairie grasses, so I think once this gets established, this is going to do really well here. I believe this stuff right here, yeah, this is all Virginia rye. This stuff will take over if you let it, so I might get rid of some of this. That's side oats grandma up in the front. That stuff really reseeds well as well, so I don't know, I might get rid of some of that as well. Don't want any wild carrot in there. Got plenty over there. Big blue stem. And again, take a look at these stems here. Really hairy down towards the bottom, and they kind of look like bamboo further up. They're going to look a lot more like bamboo as they get bigger. Got some little blue stem right here. Look at that shoot right there. It's like a steely color, and the rest of it, you know, they form like a rosette. The rest of it's just green. You could see the difference between this big blue stem right here and this little blue stem right here. I'm not sure how old this is. It doesn't look like it's 4 years old like some of the other stuff up here. This stuff looks like it's probably, oh, maybe 2 or 3 years old. Got a real cool color to it. but they start forming like a crown after a year or so. Got some big blue stem again, and this stuff is more of that steely colored. And then we have Indian grass back there. They look very similar, but the Indian grass has narrower leaves. It can be kind of hard to tell some of these native grasses apart until they get seed heads. This right here, that is definitely little blue stem, but it looks like it has Indian grass right next to it. And again, Indian grass looks a lot like big blue stem, but it's definitely not as blue and hairy at the base. I do believe that is Indian grass right there. This is a younger little blue stem right here. Got that faded color towards the stem. Sometimes that's really blue. Sometimes it's just like a faded whitish like that. Lots of grasshoppers here. This is kind of interesting right here. This and this are both little blue stem. This one is reddish purplish at the base, and this one is whitish and this kind of steely looking color at the base. Very different grasses. This little area right here has a lot of second year little blue stem in it, and that's what she looks like. Some of this stuff is nearly flat at the base. This isn't really hairy, but some of them are very hairy. Yeah, it's a very variable grass. Yeah, this is little blue stem as well, but I believe this is 3-year-old. And it's a little bit purple towards the base, and a nice steely color. All along the front here and right through there, this is all 4-year-old little blue stem. And we just had one heck of a rain, and that's why all of this stuff kind of opened up in the center like that. Not all of it, but the bigger ones. And you could see the earlier leaves are, or actually the later leaves are really nice and green, and the earlier ones are that nice steely color. I do believe this is Indian grass right here, but it very well could be big blue stem. It's hard to see the base. It does look very hairy and it's pretty blue, so maybe this is big blue stem, but usually big blue stem has much wider leaves like that. This is much more the form of little blue stem that I'm used to, kind of a vase look, but as they get older, they do splay out a bit like this. That right there, that's bottlebrush grass. It's kind of faded. That's a cool season grass. And that right there is definitely big blue stem. You can see how wide those leaves are. And we're back over to the back of the main ditch garden here. There's that corn again. And like I said, the dogs were playing in here a bit, so kind of knocked down. This right here is pale purple coneflower, which was on the endangered list until, I believe, last year. It's not on the endangered list anymore, but it's still nice to have it. Got some volunteers right in the middle of the road here. That's a volunteer right there as well. Every year I let some of them grow, and some of them have to be killed back. Some of these really fuzzy stemmed grass weeds are hard to tell from little baby big blue stem. Little baby big blue stem, that's kind of hard to say. This right here is that bluebell grape that I planted earlier this year. That's the other one, the one that died. In earlier videos, I let this stuff grow because I have no idea what it is. It's about to flower, so I guess we're going to find out soon. It still looks really cool, but I don't want an invasive weed growing in the garden here. And here is big blue stem in here. Look at the stems on that stuff. Pretty impressive. This is a tree. Have to go get that out of there. I believe this is a weed, but I guess I'll wait on that. Get a couple of these other ones out of here. A volunteer right there. That'll probably have to go next year. That is a really impressive color right there. Tiny little native bee. I also let this stuff go to see what the heck it was, but it's a weed. I'm gonna have to get in here and yank this stuff out. This is all the stuff that I just yanked out. Just a couple seconds and a huge pile like that. We got black-eyed Susan here, and I'm not 100% certain what this stuff is. It's not Indian blanket, it's not gaillardia. We do have yellow coneflower in here, and that might be what this is. We have a little blue stem right here, very colorful one. This is a weed. And here's that corn that looked like it was all bitten up when I planted that last corn. Looks like it's going to do just fine now. This little blue stem here, there is one here, a very blue one right there, a very, very blue one right here. That's kind of cool looking. I believe these are all 2 years old. Let's take a look at this other one. Yeah, this is looking really nice back here. Yeah, look at the difference between this little blue stem and that one right there. And that one right there. Way different color. And we have this monstrous volunteer right here. It was in that video, Ditch Garden the Musical. I'll link to that above. But I'm going to have to get in here and cut about half of this out. Kind of sucks. Otherwise I got to step over it, and it's kind of shading this gorgeous little blue stem right here. I mean, look at the color on that. That is a beautiful grass right there. This is a beautiful area right here in general. I guess for now, we'll step over it. And this is another one of those. These make them little red berries. I had no idea what it was before, but I believe it's nightshade, but I can't tell you for certain. I'll have to look it up. More volunteers. Those will take the place of these. These are going to have to go next year. They're way too big. When I first started, there was about a dozen monarchs in this area right here, and now there's none. That kind of sucks. This is where that monarch was filmed in Ditch Garden the Musical last year. It took off right over here and fluttered around over that way. Got some prairie drop seed here going to seed, and we got some over there as well. Those are kind of unusual. One of the plants is just loaded with seeds to the point where it weighted the plant down, and the other one has no seeds at all. This is second year little blue stem. I know that for positive because I planted all 3 of these here last year. And you can see how purplish and really hairy they are at the base there. This little blue stem, I believe this got sprayed and it's making a comeback, but it's growing really weird. Who knows if that'll live or not. This, I believe, is big blue stem. And this might be big blue stem as well right here. Getting pretty tight in here. I can't even get through there later on in the summer. And we are back to the corn again. So that's it for, what is it, July 15th or July 16th? One of the two. So I'm going to have to come back in about a week once the sunflowers are blooming. And then by that time, the cosmos and a bunch of these other ones like that, I believe is a poppy. Yeah, that's a poppy. A lot of these other ones should be blooming by then. So if you want to see that, make sure you subscribe and click on the update icon. If you have any questions or comments, make sure you put them in the comment section below. And if you share the video and or give it a like, it helps the channel out greatly. Thanks for watching and have a great day.